Hi everyone. So, a little experimental video on miniguns and the air consumption of them. I had a couple of people on Facebook as well as YouTube asking which one uses the most air, and I had a rough idea, and I thought the SRI Pro Lite with the T5 cap would be the same as the R150, and I haven't tried them against each other, but I don't know. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a little experiment, and you might as well be in on it if you want to. So we have the SRI Pro Lite with a HV5 cap. I don't know whether you can see that, but we'll move it around. Camera's on my head, so I can't actually see what you're seeing. But a HV5 cap, a TE5 cap. So that's the HVLP, that's the Trans-Tech as they call it, or LVLP. And I've also got a 0.6, which is a micro. Now I expect this to use less air anyway, but because I've got it, I thought I might as well stick it in there anyway, just in case people are thinking, well, I don't know what size compressor I need, how often will it keep coming on, etc, etc. But I'll explain to you the basics of what I'm trying to do as we go along. So I've got the R150 1.2, R150 in 1, and it's HPS. I presume it stands for high pressure system or high pressure spraying, something like that, but they're the same designation. When you get different tip sizes of these, you get a different cap as well as a different needle. What else do you get? No, that's it, just cap and needle. Oh sorry, and nozzle, of course. You get cap, needle and nozzle. So I don't know whether the actual caps are different. The air horns look the same to me, but the inside of the cap, where it goes around the nozzle, does differ because the nozzles are smaller. So I suspect that's the only difference, the fact that the skirting around where the nozzle is dependent on size rather than the amount of air, because the air holes look the same to me, but you know, I don't know, we'll find out in a minute, I guess. The LPH80 in a 1.2, now that's got the, I don't know whether you can see that, but that's got the HVLP, so it's the LPH80 E4. I can hardly see that, but that's what it is anyway. So I don't know if you can see it, but hopefully you will be able to. And last of all, Minijet 440B, not the 460B as they called it in the last video. Don't know what the 460 is, don't think they even make one, but 440B, that's the RP, so it's not the HVLP, it's the regular pressure one. So that's the guns. I'm going to run them all at 2 psi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them up to 2 psi, wait for the compressor to turn off. So bring them up to 2 psi with the compressor running, wait for the compressor to turn off, then stop. So the compressor tank is full, and then I would just open the gun completely without altering the pressure, just leaving it at the 2 psi that I'd previously set it. Sorry, not 2 psi, 2 bar, 29 psi. 2 bar or 29 psi, which is what you would spray most of these at. It depends what you're spraying, where you're spraying. You know, you might go anywhere between 1 bar and 2.5 bar, but normally 2 bars about right. Certainly for clear coat, if you're finishing it, the higher the pressure, without, you know, blowing it, of course, the higher the pressure, normally the better finish you get. It depends what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to match something. Anyway, I digress. So that's the idea of it. So they're all going to run at 2 bar. We'll wait for the compressor to turn off, and then I'll just open up the gun, and we're going to time it. And I'll just make a note of the timings, and then that way we'll just see which one uses more air than the others, and that will help somebody that's undecided about what size tip to get, how much air it's going to use, whether one uses more than the other. Because as I say, I'm just thinking these are similar to each other, that uses a bit less and that uses a bit more, but that's just purely how I felt when I've used them. So they're all run at 2 bar, apart from the micro. Now that's reason for that is they recommend you run it at 1 bar, and you just don't need 2 bar on it. It just really distorts the pattern. It's only a small pattern anyway, 0.6 tip, but it recommends 1 bar. So I've just put that in because I've got it. So the idea being that it will, I presume, use less air, but it's just, as I say, it's just there because I've got it, so we might as well include it. So we're all set and ready. I think we are anyway. That's going to be our stopwatch. Let's just hang on a sec. Sorry about that. Phone's kicked off. Right. Okay. So here we go. So the first one will be the HV5 1.2 tip. Now all the guns have got the pressure regulators that are inbuilt on the gun fully open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that up now to 2 psi and just let it run. Let it basically run the compressor out. Right, so we leave that to build up, and once it's built up, we can then do a run. That should be getting nearer 2 psi. We can do a run until the compressor kicks in, and that will give us an idea of how much air it uses comparable with the other ones. Now I'm not taking a reading because I've got no equipment to take a reading of how much air it's physically using, but it will tell us the difference because the compressor will obviously kick in when the same amount of air is being used, if that makes sense. So right, here we go then. So let's start off with this one. So HV5 cap on an SRI Pro Lite. Here we go. I'm guessing this is going to go after about, from use, for about 35 seconds, but I've never timed it. It's just purely what I think in my head. Yeah, okay, well, that's exactly right. So that was about 31 seconds. Okay, so reset. So now we've got the 1mm tip T5 cap. So let's just, I'm going to have to let that pressure, let that compressor come back in again. Unfortunately I got to it after the compressor had finished, which is a pain, which means you're going to have to wait. But 31 seconds with the HV5 cap. Now, as being a high volume, low pressure, I'm expecting that to use more than anything else. So I'd be very surprised if the T5 doesn't use less than that. Yeah, use less, so go on for longer, basically, but we'll see. Just let it wind down. So I'll wait again for the compressor to build up. So I've already set it to 2 bar when the compressor last cut off. So all I'll do is pull the trigger and put it on. So here we go. As I say, everything is equal, so you know it's all using the same regulator, same pressure, same compressor, so it's good for a comparison. It might not be the same as yours, but it is good for a comparison. The compressor I'm using is only 50 litre. It's only 50 litre, but it is 15 CFM, so it does fill up quick and put out quite a lot of air. So it's well capable of keeping up with any of these guns. and you know, 2 of them at once or an MR. Okay, so that was about 39 seconds. So we'll wait for that to build up. I'll just set this down to 1. Set it down a bit, and I'll wait for the compressor. Yeah, so it's about 38 seconds. I think it's 38. Reset. So here we go again. So this is the micro. So this is only a 0.6 tip. So here we go. Let's have a go, see what we get. Now I'm guessing this is probably going to last about 45-50 seconds, but we'll see. It's the only way I could think of doing this, to without any little meter or whatever, you know, measuring the air consumption, which I haven't got and won't get either. It's the only way I could think of doing it, but it does give some people a comparison and an idea of how much air these things are going to use. I've got them fully open, so the spraying needle is back as well, so it's letting air through the cap and through the end cap, not end cap, the nozzle. So my guess would have been about 45 on this, having used it before, but it's actually more than that, isn't it? So I mean, I'm not, you know, super quick on the stopwatch or whatever, but it's about right. It's a good comparison anyway. Yeah, so I guess you would expect that from a smaller tip. Although I didn't think it would go on this long. Okay, that's about 107. So we'll put that to one side. We just up this to 2. So that's 107. I'll just wait for the compressor to finish again and reset that. Okay, so no, I'm going to have to, that's too high, so we're going to have to let that go, I think. Wait for this to go down. So this is this is the 1.2. As I say, I think the caps are different, so I'd expect these to be more or less identical, and it will just be purely the speed that I am trying to stop the watch or whatever. Right, so we're up to 2 bar, so I'll wait for it to stop, and then we'll open up. I think that was 38, I'm sure it was 38. I can't remember whether it was 36 or 38, but I'll soon know when I watch it back. A bit late for the video, but never mind. Right, here we go then. Ready? Go. So, I'll be interested to see whether it's actually more or less than the SRI. I always thought they'd be about the same. Certainly the same as the TE5 cap. The HV5 I don't use loads, but I thought it would be around about the same, so it'd be quite interesting to see. And as I say, I don't expect there to be any difference between the 1 and the 1.2. So we're going to get near to when it's going to kick in. Okay, so that was about 29 seconds, so it's actually used a bit more. So we go 29 there. Let me swap the guns over quickly, and it saves the time then. So put that down. Okay, that's going to kick in now. Okay, so let's start again. So 1.2, I've got it the wrong way around, haven't I? That's a 1.2. 1.2 was 29. 1.2 was 29, so this is the 1.0 tip. as I say, I expect them to be the same, but we'll find out. Restart, go. When I've used these, they seem to use about the same air, but it's all sort of like, you know, seat off the pants or gut reaction, whatever you want to call it. It's all what you feel inside. I've never done it against a stopwatch before, so it's interesting to see. But it does help somebody know how long these guns are going to spray for. If they've only got like a 25 litre compressor, presumably. Hold on, we're getting near the time. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's about 32 seconds. So it is a bit more, and that's probably going to be because of the size of the nozzle, just taking less air through. So let's go with this one. Bring this down. Reset that. Okay. So, let's go again. Now I have no idea where this will be, no idea at all. It's HVLP, so you would think it might be near the HV5, but we'll see. Go. Yeah, so the idea is, as I say, people that have got a 50 litre compressor like me, you will expect to get somewhere around what I'm getting. If you've got a 100 litre compressor, in theory you should get somewhere around twice. And if you've got a 25 litre compressor, you should get somewhere around half of what I'm getting, and so on. You know, 200 litre compressor, 4 times the amount of time on a tank. That's the idea of it, and it just helps people know how much these things use. So we're must be nearly there. Okay, well this is obviously using. Okay, so that's around about 40 seconds. So the Sata, I would expect this one to use the most, simply because it has the biggest fan. By far. Well, I say by far, not loads bigger, but certainly probably 20% bigger than the SRI. Right, so we're at 2 psi already, so sorry, 2 psi, 2 bar. So here we go. So the fan's open fully, fluid is open fully on all of them, and the inbuilt air pressure adjuster on the guns are all open fully, and they all have been through the whole test, so it is all comparable as such. But here we go. I don't know whether I'm achieving anything by doing this, but it's certainly be interesting for a few people, I guess. So here we go then. Ready? So I'm thinking this is going to be about 25 seconds, but it's just, as I say, purely gut feeling. What it actually is, I haven't got a clue. Okay, so that's about right. About 19-20 seconds. We give it 20. I think it's just under, but you know, it's not going to be that accurate anyway. So that's where we are then. So the SRI in 1.2 with a HP5 cap was 31 seconds. So that's at 1.2. So let me just swap the SRI. So I'm thinking here, the nozzle obviously does make more of a, by nozzle, sorry, I mean the nozzle size makes more of a difference than I thought. I thought it would just be the end cap that made most of the difference, but I think the nozzle is making a difference as well. So let's try it. Excuse me, I've been talking on different videos and I'm getting a dry throat now. Well, hopefully that isn't nothing worse, if you know what I mean, current circumstances. Yeah, so SRI 1.2, so I'm going to put the TE5 cap on it, and we'll just see what that does. So if you just bear with me, TE5, that's a one. I just write the size of the tips, by the way, on the adapter, and it saves you'll see it is a 1.0, but it just saves taking the cap off each time to know what it is. 0.6, that's the 1.2. Right, so swip the HV5 cap off and put the TE5 cap on the 1.2 and see if it makes any difference. I'm going to have to run it through again to get the compressor upright. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to have to wait for the compressor to kick in and then we'll just run it through again. So it'd be interesting to see, as a direct comparison with a HV5, how much it actually, how much difference it makes. Because it could be the difference between these two could just be the tip size. You know, the bigger the tip, the more air it uses, which, you know, is perfectly reasonable thing, I would think. Now I'm going to have to wait for the compressor to kick in and then bring the pressure up to the correct pressure. I don't want to lose it and have to go around again, basically. Okay, so let's try again. Oh, need that again. Hang on a sec. Where are we? Clock. There's the clock. Oh, what a pain in the backside this is. Clock. Stop. Reset. Right, let's go again. Sorry about all the faffing. Probably you're going to have to add a second because I've just been playing with this. So we'll add a second to it, but let's see where we go. Go. It'd be quite interesting to know because the HVLP caps are supposed to use a lot more air than the Transtech caps, and certainly, as again I've never tried it with the bigger guns, but certainly with the the GTI Pro lights, that's definitely the case with the HV30. So where are we? 32, 33, and we've got to add a second, remember. T5. Yeah, so 41 seconds. Only 40 seconds, which is comparable to the T5 on the 1.0. So that's probably just going to be a variable of me not clicking the stopwatch quick enough, etc. So it is near enough the same, whereas that obviously is completely different. So it is the HVLP does use a lot more air. All right, well, I hope that's been of use to somebody. I quite like making these things because I don't know what the outcome's going to be either, so it's quite interesting to know rather than just rely on your intuition. Alright then, thanks very much, cheers.